am with Robin Modifair, who is channeling and bringing forward this information. Robin needs no introduction to those of us who have experienced her guidance. Whether you have been supported by Robin's individual or group sessions, workshops, or her many recordings on her website. We know Robin for her gifts of guiding us to a deeper connection with Source.
Hi, Betty. How are you? It's good to be with you again.
Oh, yes. This is such a fascinating topic, and the continuation of the conversation I'm just so looking forward to.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this too. I know that we've been going at these for quite a long time, and as you and I were talking a little bit earlier, there's been a lot of third dimensional stuff that has come our way this year, and I imagine that most of our audience has felt the same way. This has been a year full of incredible transformation, and so I feel like this is the perfect reason for you and I to get together and to talk about this amazing, amazing gift that has been given us as human beings and creations of light as we were intended to be created, that we can discuss and talk about the blessing of this light body experience and the awakening levels that are happening to us as we speak. So I guess we've completed numbers 1 through 3, correct? And 4 through 6, I think, was our second coming together. So this would be 7. We're hoping to get to the 9th level today in our conversation, but that might not happen because there's so much information here, and we don't want to, I think, rush through these levels, but make sure that we kind of thoroughly cover them for people who might have questions after. I have, as you know, completed a light body book. It is a smallish, comprehensive piece of material that we haven't really quite decided whether to print or to put in ebook or what we're going to do with it yet. But I wanted to make the audience aware that there will be one coming for them, and we'll go ahead and let people know how they can get that at the time that it's ready to be distributed. So that might help them to understand this at a deeper level and go into it a bit more. So anyway, I guess we're here to talk about level 7 and 8 then, at least today. Is that good?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
And
So,
Robin, I just wanted to say that the light body, I think, is probably not a new concept to most of the people or friends that will be joining us. But I think that the information, because of your work, your research, your channeling, this information is coming in at a deeper level that with our transformation, we're able to really integrate at the level that is meant to be for this space and time. And so it's really relevant. And I just wanted to point that out of my opinion about this, just because it's so important. And I love the concept, and I love the journey that we're taking.
I do too. I'm so glad that you're taking it with me too. Thank you so much, Betty, for assisting the way that you do. I was going to state that for those of you who do not know me or may know nothing about me, the reason that I kind of came into the conversations about light body again, I'm revisiting them, is because I've had so many people in my sessions coming to me for help and for understanding and the counseling that I do. And we're bringing up a lot of experiences that they've been having. And one of the reasons I think that it just kind of slipped my awareness for a time, and we just addressed it in the now, is because the first time that I taught and discussed and did this in a series of classes was in 1990. I think it was around 95 or 96 was the first time that I brought through information on my own and was teaching in my own business, my own spiritual center for quite a couple of years at least. And we covered a lot of these points. And at that time, the information that was coming to me on light body, let's see how I can put this, came through in a very clear, concise, and immediate kind of way and experience that was very for that now and for the moment that we were living in at that time. And to be honest with you, there had been others who'd brought through on the light body previous to that. And I know that I had stumbled into that word and encountered that, but I had been teaching Ascension to that point. And it's not that different. They are all the same, basically. It is all intertwined and all connected. However, the information that was given for that time period may have, and I can honestly say has, somewhat evolved, and there is actually more understanding and different tiers of information that have been presented to add to some of the information that I originally received, okay, at the time that this was first coming through to me. So what is being given you in these recordings is what came through to me at that time. And there's a reason for it. It's to keep it simplified. It's to keep it with some clear, concise understanding that will help people find an introduction into this and a relevance, like you said, an intimacy and a comfort zone with it so that they can become familiarized and understand how it's operating in their life right now. For deeper levels and for the additional, I may put that through again in an addendum of some kind to the original release of the Light Body book. And we may also cover it in some many more conversations of how that has transformed or transmutated over the years. But for now, we're going to keep it pretty basic and hope that this will help a lot of people out there understand a lot of these things that are going on with them and give them some focus into a space of power that they hold within themselves innately and through their divine and sovereign right as this beautiful spiritual creation that they are. So let's talk a little bit about level 7 of the light body. Having come out of the awakening stages of 1 through 3, which is where your physical body is finally letting go of some of its hold on its structure system as it is acclimated to this third dimensional experience, we move into the levels 4 through 6. In the 4 through 6, you step more into the mental processes, okay, where you hold the patterns not in the physical body, but and your adaptations, your hooks, your blueprints, that kind of thing in the 1 through 3. But in 4 through 6, it's more in the conscious way and your mental constructs, patterns, beliefs, behaviors, ways that you think, the ways that the personality self may have developed itself to express. Some call it egoic state or a lesser soul expression. And that's where we hold a lot of the way that we see the world, the way that we think the world is, what we think is, okay? And as we move into level 7, we find that this is taking us now into our emotional bodies, right? Our emotional, energetic, or chakra states. And this is an awakening of what we call the unified field, okay, or a unified way of being. And it's just the beginning. So as we step into the 7th level, after having discussed how the body processes through all of those other previous levels, we now find ourselves focusing on this emotional body. This level will bring us deeper and deeper and deeper into our heart chakra, okay? Now, this 7th level, you'll find, is one of the most transformative and deepest transformational experiences that you'll have had up until this point. And mostly because it is going to focus on that heart chakra. Because it does, it is going to call upon us a lot of, let's say, well, emotions for one thing, our feelings, things that have happened to us in the past, our traumas, hurts, pains, but a lot of our blocks too. Blocks to being able to move forward in love, to actually be able to release the previous bodies and be able to let them just drop away and freely move into the expansion of this amazing, vast experience that the heart chakra will be the gate for us to have. One of the reasons that so many light and spiritual workers focus, Betty, on healing and love and teachings of the heart, and you'll notice all the pictures of, like Jesus and others that are holding the heart out in their hands or got their, hands over their hearts or whatever. There's a reason for that, because if we understand that the heart is the center of our being, but it is also a place of invitation, okay? You can consider it kind of the mediating or middle gate to the expansion of your spiritual self having accumulated what you need at the physical level. So we're starting on our way back to light. And this particular space is going to unlock in a certain way and start giving us the invitation to embrace more and more and more, not only spiritual energy, but energies of light, encodings, languages, geometries, all of the things that we will find that are relative to what we call the world or the spirit light, which has nothing to do any longer with what we call the material or the physical planes of existence or spaces of creation. So, one of the things I'd like to remind people of is that as we go through these opening or awakening states of the body, of these light body levels, remember that they don't unfold in a linear fashion. So if you can, just try to make room for these concepts as we speak about them, that although you've tapped into or may have tapped into the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, or the 4th, or whatever you think you are in or is happening with you right now, you may still have the energies playing on you from a different level of light body. So you could still have your mental body, for example, kind of pulling on you or not quite done with its releasing yet. You could have something from the higher level that perhaps you're entering into the 7th level or 8th level or 5th level, tapped in or sparked something within the higher levels of those dimensional bodies and started to awaken them. And so it will affect the experience that you're having in that now, because remember, you're multidimensional. This is the whole reason that this awakening of all of these levels of light and your DNA, which is in correspondence coordinating with the opening and the awakening of your DNA, your 12 strand, okay, there's 12 levels of light body. There's 12, the chakra system up into a certain point, and then we go into the higher chakra system. So right now we're talking about the one that we're concerned with in the physical body, which is now raising to a higher degree or higher frequency and vibration of light. But it doesn't necessarily just, the mind wants to always break it down and see it that way. It's like it wants to see it. Okay, I've done this one, now I'm going to that one, I'm going to that one. No, it doesn't work that way. It's like I may slide into this one just a little bit, and I may over here set something off, in a different level of my light, or a different place in my blueprint, or a different chakra within my whole system. So it's a balancing act, and it's working on us beginning to experience the integration of our entire self, our unified self, how our multidimensional self works together within itself. So you're starting to be able to see and understand that just because you are looking over here doesn't mean something's not going on over here, okay? But our minds are being, which we talked about in the mental levels, that 4 through 6, are getting prepared and readied to receive us into a state of being able to comprehend ourselves in a multi-dimensional way of experiencing. And it hasn't happened yet at that place, but we're being set up. The structure is being laid. Okay, the groundwork is being put down there. So, do we have any questions yet?
Well, my comment is that because this information is not linear, the levels are not linear as we're experiencing them, I see that this journey is like a map. However, it's because everything is happening in different places, and until the integration occurs, it's what I call the wobble, that I think that I can see myself in. It's like, oh, why am I experiencing this? Why am I experiencing this? Oh, this doesn't really fit. Oh, it's that wobble until my energy body goes through this level to consider and understand that it's all okay, that it's part of the process for the energy body to continue to integrate and to rise into where it's going to end up in the moment, until the next moment.
Until the next moment. That is such a great way of bringing it all into concise and understanding way of seeing this. And thank you. That's why I keep you around. Why I love having these conversations with you. Yes, because I can see it envisioned and images within the mind as we bring this all into focus. But you do bring it into focus right here in the dimension that we're sitting in. So I appreciate that so much. Thank you for that. So during this phase, also, this is something that's a little unnerving as well. This is kind of this is really challenging. It's a very exciting moment in this particular level of light body, but it's also extremely disconcerting sometimes, because you'll find yourself feeling so much more emotional, okay, because you can't enter into an emotional release or any part of your emotional being or body without having it expressed, okay? So at this time, you might feel yourself behaving more childlike, perhaps. In other words, pretty stompy. Your emotions may come up to you in the moment, and you express them. Okay, we get in the moment with them, and we feel as though you've just got to say it, do it, feel it, let it move through you. And this is absolutely could not be more perfect for this part of your experience, because it is a way for us to get it out, right? Just let it out. These are part of the blocks that come out. But you getting really, really deeply, all of us getting deeply in touch with our emotional body, which so few energies, and especially energies off planet and in other dimensional levels of light, do not have the advantage of having. You know, we use that to create in a very extremely powerful way, but we also have to learn how to master it, because it can be a master of us if we don't learn how to master it. And our emotions have will and energy behind them that can create and destroy at the same time. So super important for us to be aware of what comes up during this time. Your feelings can be super deep. They can be held in a lot of those other multi-dimensional levels that we were speaking of. As they start to come online or come into us, or the frequencies or energies of, these other expressions of light are unifying with us, we're taking them on. And so you may be feeling a lot of those things. You are also developing your abilities a lot in a very powerful way, because your heart is feeling, and it's feeling at depths that it's never felt before. So you might start sensing and feeling not only others around you and the emotions that they're expressing or things that are being sent at you, but you might be picking up on other other yous that are living simultaneously in the experience that you're having now. And I'll explain a little bit of this in a moment, or also in experiences that may be off planet, or, other worlds that you might have been picturing as past lives, but most of them that we have are actually experiences that we're having right now. So let me explain that a little bit better to all of you. We're beginning to operate more in what we call the now, all right? N-O-W, big letters, capital letters, than ever before when we enter into the 7th level light body. The reason is, when you were in the mental bodies in stages 1 through 6, we were projecting. You live in the future. When you're in the mental, you're always going, what if, or what if that happens, or I need to know, or projecting I want this, or what does that look like, or why does that happen? Or instead of releasing yourself completely into just being very, very present and living in the now. And then the mind starts to shut up, right? That's what they talk about in meditation when they tell you to get into the stillness and quiet your mind. It's being really, really present. And so that your mind isn't saying and looking for answers. It's not making things up. It's not deciding things. It's not projecting over here. And that's what the mental body does, okay? It's responsible for that. And it's a big part of taking care of us until we do awaken, until we become conscious beings. When you become conscious, we don't so much anymore need the mental body to function in that way. And you and I have had conversations on that before, I think back in the chakra conversations possibly, or even in the soul conversations. I'm not sure which one. But some of you might be able to find some more understanding of that in those recordings if you go on my website. So the mental body living and projecting more into the future is falling away, okay? Hopefully it's surrendering. It's releasing more of us into the now, to experience in the now. And So we've triggered our emotional body, and now the emotional body lives in the past. All right? It's always, always triggered by past experiences, past transgressions, past traumas, past injuries and pain and hurts, or joy, all of the good things too. So this is how they function, how they operate. Your emotions are connected to your past experiences, the things that you remember being good or not so pleasant, okay? And your mental ones are with the future. Important to know. So, because of this, there's hardly a time ever that you ever experience what is truly happening right now as you encounter every moment, unless your mind and your emotions are not involved. Can you be completely present, wholly present, with the slate clean and say, I'm going to experience this for the first time anew, right? Unless you're having a brand new experience, like you've gone away to some place really strange that you've never been to before, then you might truly have a right now experience. But chances are, if you've lived in other timelines or periods or other journeys or been there ever before in your other lives, you probably already have some kind of a recall or something imprinted in there as a memory as well, already judging it. So in the 7th level, you're now beginning to experience perfectly in the now. You are likely, and this has happened to me, and probably most of you, you are probably going to have long periods or states of living in the now. And most of you have probably experienced this, where you can say that you were absolutely present, where everything starts to fall in line. You have those synchronicities, every single thing that happens, you'll have like 15 of them a day or something, and go, oh my gosh, everywhere I turn, or books fall off the shelves, or people talk to me, or messages are given to me, or I saw this, or I saw that, or somebody came into my life, or a phone call happened, But these are all increased states of examples of you being and living and expressing in the now, and these synchronicities increase when you're there. As the emotional body drops away, okay, we start to release it. It brings with it the experience of completing relationships too. All right, so this is another thing that happens that's a bit disconcerting, and this is the one I hear most of from most people, is their distress at how their life is changing, how they're changing, and oh my goodness, I'm finding that there's a lot of people I don't want to be around anymore, or there's people I can't relate to, or I'm having difficulty with my relationships, or I'm concerned that the one I'm in relationship to is not going to come with me, or it's just not the right relationship for me because I'm changing. And these are all very valid experiences, and they definitely do happen at this time. But here's something that I want to bring up, not to tell you again what to do, because we don't do that ever, but to suggest to you to be very patient and discerning through this time, because yes, you are changing. There's a lot within your whole system that is changing. Your heart, remember, 7th level is playing on our hearts. So what could change you more, especially in your relationship to how you feel about people, right? Your connections to them, how you care for them, how they care for you, what feels good to you anymore and what doesn't feel good to you anymore, what makes you happy, what doesn't make you happy. This is playing right now in you in a super, super big way. So remember that even though you are reevaluating your relationships at this time, that the ones around you are going through this too, more than likely, or will, or have. Okay, and so it is a time that I just suggest to people that they not be rash unless they get like a major screaming from within that says, no, this is what you have to do. Okay, and if you're still doubting or not sure, I always recommend that you just sit with it, because nothing's going to happen to you by sitting with it. You're changing, yes, and things around you are changing, and people are changing, and your feeling about relationships are changing. And you may have to give them distance and time. That might happen. But what I've experienced more than often happens, not every time, but more than often, is that people give it the time, and relationships, the way they were in relationship to one another, changes because you've changed. And when you've changed, the contracts, the blueprints are dissolved. All right? Because you're also, everything's falling away, it's dropping away. The old blueprint is being rewritten, and it's being rewritten in a different way. So all of the players, all of these beautiful love beings that have been in relationship with you, some of them may not serve any longer, and it's okay, and you won't have any problem with that. You'll know it, and you'll feel it, and it'll be fine. The first things that might happen is the people around you may feel like you're getting cool and distant, right? That something's happened to you because they can't be in relationship with you anymore, or don't know how to, or don't really know what's happened to you, but you're not the same. You've changed. And you're probably thinking the same thing, about them. So it just sort of is a natural fizzling out. Hopefully it doesn't have to develop into anything major, which I've seen too, things that become, that the soul creates that are quite dramatic, for ending things, but you don't have to do it that way. Back in the old days, I'm just going to share something kind of personal, but when I first started awakening, my teacher used to tell me, every single relationship you have in your life, if you don't want to have to ever do it again, make sure that you end it in the highest love possible. That every single relationship in your life is completed and handled in the highest love that you can possibly muster, and have the honor and the respect for the other being, the other person. Because otherwise you do create a mess, and that mess at some point, whether they're a part of you, an aspect of you, a particle of your soul light or whatever, you're going to run into them again somewhere sometime, and you're going to have to, in order to bring them in, to heal it, to unify it, you don't want to put them through something that's going to come up in their emotional body or their, seventh level, and they have to deal with that trauma. So it's always better to do it that way. It's just cleaner, better for everybody. If you can do it that way, I do suggest it. But the chances are that after the release, after this relationship sort of fizzles or loses its energy, that's a better way of putting it. Oftentimes, they miraculously and mysteriously, maybe mysteriously is the better way of putting it, reshape themselves, remold themselves, and rewrite contracts, right? Where they're in relationship to one another again, but differently. It feels different. It looks different. And what one needs to understand is that what's happening when the heart chakra is opening like that is it's taking you to a transcendent level of what we call transcendent love. So it's a more impersonal love. It's a way of being able to express in light, in a more divine way with everything around you. You don't have, the needs. And most of you all know this. You've all been taught and told about, codependent or conditional love, or judgmental love or needy love or, things qualified love, expectant love. There's an infinite number of ways to love. But the biggest tell would be, and I did air quotes to Betty, so those of you who didn't see that, I wanted to emphasize that word tell, giveaway, is that you sense yourself being less loving initially, right? Because you're not loving in the same way. It doesn't feel heavy, emotional. So these are times when you know that you're starting to get a grip, a hold, sort of a balance into your emotional bodies. And yet, at the same time, you're also still going through this release, right? This childlike tantrums or just pure ways and states of releasing energies and emotions and feelings. So it's such a dichotomy. It feels like you're up one moment and down the next, and up one moment and down the next. And sometimes you find yourself saying, oh my goodness, I can't be that high spiritually. That's not even possible when I'm behaving like this. I just went right to the bottom after, how could I not have control over my emotional body and say I'm a master? Which we know at this level, you're beginning to understand that everyone is a master. Whether they're mastering something that appears to be really, really negative to you or lesser than or lower vibrational or not, everyone is doing what their soul needs to get in this life. And that is a really, really hard one, but not at the 7th level. You begin to start making yourself aware of that. It's dawning on you in a very big way. Besides the fact that you've got to muster the grace to give yourself some patience and a break and be kind to yourself while you're going through this, because you could sit there in judgment of yourself from now until the cows come home. And it won't make one bit of difference because you've got to go through it just like everyone does. And it's a balancing because you're in a body that has lots of states of bodies, right? Lots of dimensions of energy. And every one of them has been doing its individual dance for a long time. And now it's being called, literally called to unify. And that's what it's attempting to do. So in order to do it, it's got to let go and dump all the old, right? So that it can become something new. And that's what's happening right here. So well said, Robin. That was good. That brings it down. It's simplifies it. Is there something you wanted to add to that at this time?
When I was going through deep emotional stuff for the longest period of time, I have endless apologies to the people that were affected because I didn't understand what was going on, but I also am very conscious that it was messy. And looking back, it was an extremely messy time. But I got through that part, and I continue to be in this space as I am in all the other spaces. As bits and pieces show up, it's like, oh, this is what's going on. This is what's going on. So I appreciate this map to explain. It's like, no, I'm not completely crazy. I'm just going through these processes.
Yeah. We're just, this is not an easy thing for humans. And, these are the conversations that I want to have with you, with your permission, and hopefully at a later time to get into that a little bit more about, what it is that we're doing, what is the significance and the importance of us raising our physical body, into a crystalline light filled, experience, and, some of the understandings as to how difficult that is, or how it's never been done before. This is the first, well, not the first attempt, because we'll talk about that too, but that it is complicated, at best, and we're feeling our ways through this as best as we can. We're following a plan, sort of, like you were talking about. There's an outline, a layout for it, but we never know if it's going to, all work exactly that way, or, if things have to evolve or shift or change, slightly in order to completely bring it through, because people change and things change, and I don't know. So divine order is something that, I've been told, as well as sense, is definitely embedded in the process, in this light body DNA awakening. And so the next step of this 7th level light body, as though you haven't been through enough already and we still have a ways to go, is that this is the level that the heart chakra opens to a greater degree than it has ever experienced before. Okay, it's never been this big or this awakened before. We've had states of awakening within the heart, but not what it's asking of us this time. So because of this, and many of you I've talked to over the years, probably the last decade or two, who had gone through phases and experiences of feeling chest pain, something that's very much akin to what feels like a heart attack, but it's really not. And if you sense at any level that it might be, please go get it checked out, because I'm not here to tell you it's not, but usually it's not. All right, you'll start feeling, because it feels different. It's like in the center of your being is where you feel the ache, the pain, the intense pressure. And it's because the heart is so truly massive. We can't really see it or understand. Maybe some of you can see it who have sight, to see those kind of things on the body, but it's a very, this is just a massive undertaking when the heart begins to open. So what's happening when you start to experience the pain is that, and I spoke with Betty a little bit about this before we started talking tonight, that there's a membrane, okay, that is placed in the heart chakra that is dissolving now. And I know this might sound weird to most of you, but in the heart chakra on humans on this planet, and they didn't specify any other planets, it may be exclusive to the type of being that we are, but this membrane was placed there in human beings. And my understanding is it's called the gates of Eden, okay? And yes, this relates directly. I've asked several times, are you kidding me? Is this what? And they said yes, that the gate of Eden is symbolic, all right? Because we're talking about how beings come back to love, right? How they come back into oneness, into light. So if they ever left it for a journey or for an experience that felt separated from that which created them or the light that's in them, because now they're in a body, which is the first step to feeling like, oh, I'm in a body. I'm not home anymore, right? I'm not one with my creator, but you really are. And the only way you can experience not being one with it is to have some kind of safeguard so that you can have your experience. Now, this has been told and interpreted. People have talked about this sort of thing in all kinds of different ways. And I'm not saying this is the only way to look at this, but what I was told is the gates of Eden, and the angel stands there at the gate to guard with a flaming sword. So, that being said, this membrane and the guardianship is so that the being cannot re-enter the garden, okay, or go through the gate. The reason is because I'm asking and having a little bit. Okay, the reason is because the membrane in the heart chakra is there to prevent you from going multidimensional before it's time for you to do so. All right, so we can't experience third dimension or duality or the learning experiences if we immediately come in here and have access to our entire multidimensional self. It's like then we're doing everything everywhere, and there may be other places we prefer to spend our time. So it was placed there to keep this game or this journey contained. All right, so that it would be controlled or controllable. And if you think about the terms of the Garden of Eden, that was kind of even a concept of control, right? Because it was this perfect garden and you're in a perfect existence, and everything outside of it was not. And obviously there were things going on outside of it. So just think of it in those terms, that the heart is the garden. And even the light constantly says to us, the kingdom is in you, right? And the way to is within. And my kingdom is no part of this world. So here's the place where we're talking about the entry point, why the heart has always been the focus, why it is so important, why it has always been hinted to us as being the way, extended to us, given to us, calls to us, why love is the way. So there's so many things that we could talk about around that subject. But for now, this is what is going on. It's to keep us from going multidimensional, so that we would stay in the game and stay contained. None of the experiences that happen on the physical plane are able to get above the astral plane. So in other words, the physical realms have all been created as they are. This is to keep us from leaving the game of just going back home, because probably most of us would have been home by now, okay? Maybe not. Maybe there are others who are really, really loving it. And if you do get to a certain level of light and understanding, you will begin to understand how to love this whole thing and to take it all the way. So for now, as you're sitting in the 7th level going through all of these intense experiences, chest pains and childlike behaviors and your heart expanding and everything shifting and relationships breaking down, and it doesn't feel like you're not feeling really good most of the time. It's tough. This is a really tough gate to get through. So there's that word again. As long as the membrane is there in that place, you will not be able to get beyond, okay? Through that gate and on your way back into what we call the light levels, the crystalline light experiences with pure spirit, or continue on your journey home. So none of the experiences that happen on the physical plane are able to get above that astral plane to affect anything else. Part of the heart chakra is now closed so that you cannot go multidimensional. Keep you contained. Well, for now, as we've come to this level of explanation of vibration and light at the time that we're living in now, I will tell you that this membrane is open Okay, up until now, it has been closed. And we have, maybe some of you have received in your writings or even in some of the understandings, or maybe even other people out there talking about things about how, you know, gates are opening or portals are opening or rifts are opening or whatever. Those are all just symbolic messages to you that there is an opening. All right. And we know that the only gate out of here is to go fully into your heart and to let it guide you, to let it lead you to that place, because nothing in the physical realm is going to take you home, because that's not where it exists. It doesn't exist in physical manifestation. The heart is now going to deepen and deepen, and you are going to feel this at more intense levels than you have before. You can go to any dimension through the heart once it opens, because it is now. So you can experience everything that you choose to experience in and through this open and awakened heart. This is why so many are now being bombarded, if you will, by a lot of different levels of consciousness. Why so many are exploring like past lives, past regressions, talking about parallel universes and ultimate, limitless timelines and all of these conversations. It's because the awareness has come now. That state of consciousness is awakened, is open to the full understanding of, or I should say the beginning of the understanding of what multidimensional experience is. So you're starting to hook in, to begin to bring that into all of your processes, to start to understand that, and pretty soon it'll just feel like rote to you. You'll hear, you've integrated it so well and it's everywhere around you that it's coming pretty quickly. So your outer world is always talking to you, always teaching you. Just hopefully we will choose to hear higher, better, instructive things than the conversations or the teachings of the world that you might be deciding or choosing to leave now. The levels of light that you've already learned in and are ready to go beyond that. So just be very discerning and conscious of the things that you're taking in, where you're spending a lot of your conscious energy and time in these places. So now that the heart chakra has awakened, is opening, and that membrane is dissolved, we are in a state where the heart is now taking the lead over all of the other levels or the other chakras. So it'll become the main chakra function in all of our sets of chakras. I have a note here that, in the old days when I was working with Ascension, we worked with a process of, in order to quicken the ascension, to move faster into light, we've been practicing a process with the higher angelics of moving all the lower chakras into the heart. So we were working with them, and they were instructing us on how to move the chakras, the root chakras, the sexual chakra, the sacral chakra, and the solar plexus chakra into the heart, and then into the thymus rim. So it was integrating the thymus, which is your power center, and your heart center, which of course made it huge, right? But you also were dropping away, because all of your lower centers do what? They're entangled with the first stages, right? Which is the disconnect of karma and respatializing your physical self, your physical body, then your emotional state, your sexual state, because people do ask me, if I move into these higher chakras, will I ever have that again? And, for some, the answer is absolutely no, but for some, it may not be. So it's moving into this state, this place of expansion in the heart. And then it starts to tap into the higher chakras, right? Because That's what we were doing, is moving all the lower ones up, and then all of those move up, and they start tapping in or reconnecting them into the higher states of chakras, which immediately raises your whole state of expression of being here on this planet, because you're not operating or functioning from the lower chakras and vibrations. So this is basically what's going on as the light body comes online, as it awakens. It triggers, the opening of the DNA of the 12 strands. And as each of the strands opens, that starts to send the signal and the message and the wiring out to the next one, okay, which opens that next dimensional blueprint or template that we're functioning under, and starts to, what do I want to say? Beforehand constitute or start to lay out the vibrational and frequential realm that you'll be functioning in once you go past the levels that you're developing. So there's always energies and blueprints and templates being worked out and laid for your next step, right? As each one of them opens, then it triggers the next one beyond that. And that starts its process of laying itself out and readying, preparing itself for you to move into that energetic light state of being. So does that make sense? I know that was a little tricky, but
it makes sense, and the mind can process it from the standpoint that one thing leads to the other.
Yes.
And so your explanation, and I want, as I re-listen to this, I will understand at a deeper level.
Yeah, I hope so. And again, the reasons that I give this to everyone is so that they can do that, because it does get a little bit more entangled and I shouldn't say complicated, because you really will be stepping into each of these, so you'll be able to take them on easily. You will understand them as you arrive, right? But at least this is laid here so that when you arrive, you've already seen it, you've read it, you've heard it, and it will make sense to you. You'll get it. It'll be there for you as you enter into it. So hopefully this will help each and everyone who does listen to this to be able to know what the next move is, or where they're at now and what's coming. Yeah. Because I have a feeling this is going to come on everybody really fast as we come through these next several months. What I've understood is this quickening, this opening or awakening is really happening really, really fast. Prayerfully, nothing interrupts that again and thwarts, the timing of this whole thing. But so this is what we're dealing with right now. Also, as we've talked about in some of the past ones, your chakras that, exist change a lot as we go through each of these light bodies. The way that they looked appeared, some of them conical, or some of them as spirals, or whatever. They may become spherical, or they may elongate, or they may get bigger. So don't be alarmed if you see that, if you're doing energy work, or you have somebody who says, oh my God, your chakras are really messed up. What's going on with you? They don't know, because they haven't listened to this yet, that this is a natural part of your whole system being reshaped, redesigned, so that it can access, hold, and express in a greater, higher vibrational light. So let me see, what else did I want to tell you? So the heart chakra coming online and taking a front seat, or a prominent state within all of the chakra system, is preparing you and actually bringing you into what is called the unified energy field, okay, or a unified chakra state. It's like the first, I shouldn't say the first steps, but it's the middle place, the more important, the turning point of everything, where it's calling for the unification now, all right? Again, I want to liken it to being the mediator state between physical and spirit light. So the 7th and 8th, 9th levels are the first steps to setting the field, okay, for the unification, if that makes sense. All right, so rather than saying we've already developed the unified field or what is the unified field, maybe to just talk about it in sense that you have all of these fields, but when they start to come into one, just like we were talking about the lower 3 chakras coming up into the heart, it comes up into the one, right? And then you've got the power center there too. So there's this unification that is taking place. It's this coming back into oneness. And that is what's taking place with the heart at this time. So super, super important. They all are, but this is a really important moment. And the whole system begins to move into this unified field. There are many ways and things that you can help merge it, that you can assist the merger. And one of them, if some of you go look, I think even in our past writings or other recordings, I've placed the unified chakra meditation in there, but I will attempt to do that again for some of you. It's really powerful, and it helps to call them all into unity. And what this does is it helps us stay more balanced and less, what was the word you used earlier? Was it wobbly? Something like that?
Yes.
to have less of a wobble while we're going through all of this, and feel a little bit less schizophrenic or, bipolar or whatever, manic depressive, than we might feel. Because if we attend to unifying those chakras, bringing attention to that and practicing that, it really, really, really helps to bring it back in when things go a little cattywampus on us, a little sideways. What else? So realigning them. Oh, okay. So here's another one. This is another really, really powerful thing that happens in the 7th level, and I'd forgotten about this myself until recently. But the pineal and the pituitary glands are also come into play in this 7th level of light body. So at this time, when if you know that this is going on, they expand, okay? They're beginning to awaken, also to clear out, to open up, and to become functional. So you might feel pressure on your forehead or the back of the head at times. Be aware of this. But when the pituitary gland is functioning at its highest, and for some that might take a bit, because I know that people have expressed to me a lot of work being done on these particular areas, and they still have a lot of trouble, but hopefully that won't be the case anymore. So perhaps because the heart is open now, it will just bring naturally online the pineal and the pituitary. It should be a lot easier for this to just open. But when it's functioning at its highest, the pituitary will not allow you to age or die. And I thought that was really fascinating.
Yeah.
So obviously it has not been functioning for a very long time. So I am sensing from the information that I've been given that this is about midway through the 7th level awakening, okay, is where this begins to open up. And it's a process, I think, because each of these, the pineal and the pituitary, will increase in size. So the pineal gland is a multi-dimensional gland, all right? It's helping us to function and to see in a multi-dimensional way. The opening can be painful. It is the third eye, but there's a lot of information about a fourth eye. And if some of you haven't heard of that, the fourth eye is located at the soft spot at the very crown of your head. And it's like an eye. And that eye, when it opens, it usually opens easily, is what they tell me. And it might feel like, if it doesn't, they're saying it feels like it's hitting up against something, like there may be a block. So there are times when I think in other lifetimes or other energies or whatever that don't want you to go from here, they may, slide something in there, or there may be some kind of a block from another planetary system, another experience, another journey you've had, whatever, or even this one. But it's easily enough dealt with if you just move it. And if you find someone that can help you just move it, from locate it and move it out of that field. It is called your multidimensional sight. So it's what helps us tap into, those higher levels and the higher levels of chakras as well. So you might start to experience other dimensions at this time. And the other dimensions might be awarenesses of yourself and other bodies on the planet right now, or living very different lives than you may be living now. Now, again, this is another one of those new insights as to what is going on with all of that, and why people are searching so much, why this has become so much a part of people's interest. Because at first you might think that you're remembering past lives, and they could be, but more often than not, you're tapping into what we call current other vessels, called concurrence. Okay, there's actually other yous that exist here on the same plane, on the same parallel with you, and normally, for most of us, there's about 12 of us simultaneously in the same life with us. And so you can imagine that if we have a self on every single parallel universe, or every level from here to source, how many that might be. But on this level, generally for most humans, there's 12. And again, interesting, because you have 12 levels of light body, you have 12 chakras, you've got 12 planets, you've got 12, 12, 12. So what that helps us do is it helps us learn up pretty quickly. So every single one of those 12 is expressing very differently than the life that you're living right now, or that we may feel that we're living. Some of them might have been dolphin or whales, because those are also light workers, and they're very, very highly evolved entities working here on the earth. So if you feel a resonance, or you've had memory of that, or, I've had people tell me that they know that they were mermaids, they know that they were, elvins, or they know that they were, so anyway, if you're sensing anything like that, that could be happening to you at this particular level of awakening. By the 7th level, most of us are operating in what we call fourth dimension consciousness, okay? So I've told so many that are still waiting, when are we going to get, when's the shift going to happen? When are we going to be there? I said, you're already there. It's just that this mind, this consciousness, the integration of all of this is a little slow in catching up. So the more that you allow yourself to just know that you're there, you will be there. All right. And that's why I think a lot of people are complaining about how exhausted they are, how tired they're, because the majority of them is really experiencing already in that higher vibrational light. And it's having a little bit of a struggle, mentally still perceiving that it might be here, having belief in that. So these are the symptoms that kind of go on. We haven't talked much about that at the 7th level. And how long are we into this? Are we doing okay on time? So
there's so much information. Yeah, there's so much information here, and it's so remarkable to understand how we are so affected by these things, that laying it out the way you are is so helpful to understand the processes that we all are experiencing or see other people experiencing that don't make sense. And in my world, I like to have things make sense. And how often does that happen?
Anymore. I mean, don't just, hold on to your seat. That's all I can say. Because you may not even remember here shortly, so it won't matter. So the symptoms, I know that's really scary, huh? The symptoms that you might be experiencing is, these are the things you say to yourself. And I remember going through this phase myself. I'm going to ascend tomorrow. And I am single-handedly going to heal both the planet and humanity and drag all of the light and all into the light, drag you all to the light and save you all from karma. So I remember some of these statements and some of these things in my mind, even though I may not have consciously said them or been aware that I was thinking them. I can see how they played in some of the backgrounds of my thinking and the things I created for myself, in some of these times. So although, we're really powerful, good creators, so we have a great imagination, or as Betty calls it, what did you call it?
Hallucination.
Hallucinations. I love that. Hallucination. So although you are now in the 7th level, there's a lot of distortion of being a healer or an awakener, one who saves themselves, others, or the planet. And we all kind of go through this. I have moved through many of these spaces myself, of this illusion in this process. And some revisit it, through me and from time to time. And I can tell you that it's more prevalent than you might know. But this is all part of us being human and playing the human game. Having journeys that we write for ourselves. I mean, what would we be doing if we weren't doing that? But there is something that's pressing now from within us that we talked about in levels 1 through 3, which initiates this whole process of light body awakening. And that is the moment that your soul calls. And when you get the call from within, it just starts everything in motion. And then it's not so much about wanting to play anymore, although maybe we're playing at the light body too. I don't know. That could be possible as well. But this is what's happening now. So as we are doing all of this, we start to enter into and involve what is called karmic monad or soul karma. The other parts of ourself may still be doing duality, the 3rd dimension, creating scenarios of the planet and people still needing to be healed or saved by keeping them sick or lost so you can save them. Look closely, examine closely during this time, these situations, because my experience has shown them to be hard to see. And I'll tell you, I've been, I shouldn't say smacked around. That's a terrible phrase to use, but I have been awakened many, many times to being somewhat oblivious to how things finally come into my awareness, my vision to look at and to rethink or clear away things that might have been hiding or somewhat out of our vision. Hiding is a good way to say I had a good intention. You know, I meant well, you know, my intentions were good. Old paradigms, unrecognized or self-righteous or savior patterns that we carry around with us. This is the time when those start to fall away. They release, they show themselves to us, and we can finally address those things and be able to see them for what they are without judgment, because there's no reason to judge it. I mean, if we, you know, put ourselves in a play, we would definitely have a script, right? We'd be pretending and playing like we were doing something. So that's kind of, just think of it as that's what you've been doing until you awaken, completely awaken. And the light body is the process that is bringing us, or that is not bringing us, that is acting as companion for us as we move into this place of being. So our experience here is, needless to say, quite a paradox, moving in and out of balance as needed into this unified field, which is reaching out to all of us right now. So this is the same thing that's happening to everyone who calls themselves a master at this time, whether it appears that they are or they're not. And if we can just find, like we've talked about before, the patience, the love, you know, the grace within us to remind ourselves of that and to be aware of it and to hold all of it in as much love and non-judgment as we possibly can, allowing ourselves to also trust in the power within us, in the soul that's in us, that it is leading us where we are supposed to be, where we need to be. So at this time, there's also some grand experiences of depression, like we talked about earlier, manic depression, and all those things. But here's something that's really interesting that you need to understand as well. And this is another big level or big hurdle to clear, which is we all go through this as spiritual significance or spiritual ambition. And that can be really strong defenses which come up in the 7th level light body. In the 7th level, we sort of become exposed, right, in a very huge way to the ways that we are functioning here through our, what we call maybe unworthiness, insecurities, need to play act or act as though we are the things that we're discovering that we are, right? So here's another way of saying it, because I know this is really tricky. And like I said, these are the things that are, the 7th level is a refined process, okay? There are the levels after become more refined. But this is a taking us to a new place of authenticity, all right? Of exposing everything that's less than absolutely authentic, because we can't, of course, and logically carry that self-deception into those higher states of light, because the reason that it happens is because we have a really difficult time as people, as humans, believing that we are the things that are beginning to show themselves to us. You know, when we're told that we're divine, that we truly are light, we can say that over and over and over, and we can play with it and we can imagine it. But when that starts to truly dawn on us, that it's not us that we've been ever, it's this, and that's what we really are and what we're really a part of, the human self sort of decides, creates a defense from going into that, from actually moving into that place, to parroting it or mimicking it or imaging it in the physical, rather than actually embracing it. Does that make sense?
Being it. Yeah.
Yes. Because it's still creating that block. It's like, oh, okay, I've gotten to that top of that astral plane. I'm not sure I'm ready to go into that yet. I'm not sure I'm ready to believe that. I'm not sure I do believe that. You know, there's a part that starts to create a defense and says, oh no, well I'm already that, because look, I'm expressing it here. But it hasn't really authentically embraced or knows it. It's just play acting it. I don't know if that makes complete sense, but these are the tricky places, because this world is reflection. It is a mirror of what is real, of what is true. It's not the real thing. So when you hit that space of transition within yourself, there's a moment. And the moment could last for years. It could last, you know, we could play act it being all kinds of grand things here. It's like, oh no, I'm gonna get this all out here. I'm just gonna be that here. But you haven't even got it there yet. You can get there and you can still be here, you know, but I think there's a setup, there's like a mechanism or a defense system, is what I've been shown, that begins to start operating. It's trying to continue to self-deceive in a way. And it's not done out of, you know, viciousness or knowingness even usually. It's a really difficult thing for us to see in our own self. You know, but as long as it's still identifying as I all the time, or I, then that's kind of a giveaway. Another one of those, you know, flags, if you will, of saying, hey, or tells that that's still going on. And it's okay. I mean, this is what humans do, right? This is how we get back. So just good to know. That was a long explanation for that. But I think it's one, I mean, I wrote important all over it, because I really think, know that this is a really, really important thing. Because when you, having to be honest and clear with ourselves, and authentic with ourselves, is probably the most difficult thing in the world for us to do, and in all of these journeys for us to do, to embrace who and what we truly are. And all of you who are teachers or healers or counselors or coaches or whatever you are that is out there, you know, doing this work with other people, you know this. I mean, the first thing you come up against is low self-worth, right? I don't feel worthy. And that's where it all begins. So it's like working through all of those layers, healing all of that stuff up. And we've been doing that for so long. But the trick is that healing can't ever arrive in anyone until they're there, because it comes through themselves. And if we're not even there, how can we see it? How can we assist them? How can we know that if we haven't even got there ourselves? So anyway, I just thought that was, for me, it was really important to see, because I remember going through similar experiences like this. I don't know if I'm done either, but I just continue to hear that it's really important. So these defenses are hard to recognize. For spirit reveals more and more of what it truly is. As a divine, multidimensional master, the mental and emotional bodies want to embrace it as personal truth by defining and attaching to it. And in the attaching, the physical body is oblivious usually to the fact that this is going on, and it just doesn't buy it. It doesn't buy that it's really doing this. It really doesn't buy that it is truly a master in light, or that it's light itself or the creator itself. And it just starts to kind of backstep a little bit. But every single one of us goes through this at some time. So again, be kind to yourself. Remember that you are bouncing between the limitation of what you're experiencing here and the great vastness of your multidimensional self all the time in this level 7. So we have hit the end of level 7. And if there's something that you would like to say, I think that this is probably plenty for this recording. What is your feeling on it?
Yes, there's so much here, and what's helpful for me to understand is that I think it's human nature to be in survival mode and be into the habits from who we've been, that it's that wobble that I sense is going back and forth into this new and what's comfortable, what you know. So I like the idea, once again, of this very thorough explanation of what the wobble means and how we are moving into a new light that we haven't. It's not uncomfortable, but it's also not familiar. So yeah. I like that it just feels good. And as we are understanding it, we are understanding more of what our experiences, our feeling experiences are. So this is a very powerful recording. The information here is just so helpful to understand all the different nuances.
Well, thank you. I think it is too. And I don't ever want to leave out that, you know, the reason that Betty and I do this and feel it's so important to reach out to people, to try to share with them what has been sustainable. I mean, for this to come back around into my life and probably the lives of many other teachers out there, because I've seen the word light body like incessantly out there for a while now, at least this last year or so. So many have probably been getting the same message, that there is a significant reason that this has come back into focus, and a need for people to embrace and understand maybe ascension in a different way, maybe what they really are and what they're really doing here in a different way, to at least give them that opportunity that, you know, they're not necessarily here for the ways or the reasons that we were before, because we're already moving into our next journey. We've already moved into a higher dimension some time ago. And it's happening in a way that is miraculous and transcending time and space, and maybe even our conscious understanding, you know, to some degrees, that we are evolving, that we're awakening. You know, this morning, I don't know if I shared it with you, but they kept showing me this beautiful example of, just to illustrate what physical ascension is, what physical transition or transformation into light body is. that we were given. I mean, I can only think of one example. Maybe others of the audience can think of, more things, maybe even yourself. But the butterfly is the perfect example because it's the heavy caterpillar, the worm itself, that is earth-ridden, that walks on all of its little legs, that really doesn't look like much of anything. And when it goes into its mutational time, its state, it then comes out in something that looks completely like another creature, another species. And not only is it beautiful in general, but it can fly, And this is what I think is a good illustration of what we are doing right now. And I know that people probably are still having a lot of trouble and skepticism and saying, I just don't believe this. All I can say is that we haven't even crossed the line yet. We're right at that midway point of connecting into, finally now, into the divine vibrations and frequencies of that light of the crystalline field. And our body has been going through the preparation of this for so long. People have been talking about the ascension processes and symptoms and, the evolution of consciousness and all of this other stuff. But if we're staying in a body, for those who are, I know that they cannot not begin to translate, transmutate, transform into something incredibly special, beautiful, and light-filled, because we can't help but be filled with that light as we increase in that frequency and vibration. And for some of you who know me, I have a special insight into that, and have had visions, images, experiences with it in waking state with, my partner in my life, and feel very grateful and blessed to have seen that. But it gives me a sense of assuredness that we are definitely more than we know ourselves to be. And I think that the human game has been wonderful and interesting, and I think that all of humanity, all of creation may be ready for something new. And this would definitely do that. It would definitely give us something new. And I know, too, that every one of us holds a part, a code, a key, a piece of that vibration, that puzzle, to contribute to that, because it's the great significance is that we are one. And without each other, it can't be done. So I still hold out a lot of hope that, we'll be able to shift this whole thing. And the reason that I do is because I'm not counting on the world to shift it. I'm understanding the divine plan now, and it was all laid in us. It will shift. We internally will shift, and we will carry that light in us, which, creates something completely new, completely different. So, love to everyone who's listening, and I wish you the best with this light body experience. Betty and I will be back to talk about levels 8 and 9, hopefully, maybe even 10 if we can get there. And I also wanted to invite you all, because I know Betty doesn't probably like to sell stuff. Did you want to make that claim? to my website,
Yes, I'm so happy to have access to your website, embracingsource, all one word.com. And there's so much there. There's so many resources there that just bring us to this light body experience, this experience that we're all having right now at the highest possible level that each of us can rise to. And it's just the energy embodiment that is within those writings and the recordings. There's just so much. So thank you, Robin. I'm just so grateful that you are contributing to the greater collective in the beautiful way that you are.
Thank you so much, Betty. So everybody just go to my website on the events page. And that would be the easiest way for you to find those recordings that we've been doing together and maybe catch up a little bit. We have some fun ones in there, and we've got interesting subjects, and I hope that you enjoy them and get some value from them. Until next time, I love you all, and thank you so much, Betty. I always love spending time with you.
And thank you all for joining us on this journey.